You're watching Reality Check, This Week in Rewind. Welcome to Reality Check, This Week in Rewind. I'm your host, Quinny B, and this week is just a little different from weeks before. Because 4th of July fell on a Thursday, we didn't get any Grown Up Hip Hop Atlanta, no Little Women Atlanta, so we just missed out on a few of our staples. I also think that because the 4th of July came, our social media portion is it's just so minute this week. Phaedra Parks has a new boo. And his name is Medina Islam. He's an actor. He's actually very handsome. She recently did an interview about him where she was just gushing. I think it was on Entertainment Tonight. So make sure to check that out. In other Real Housewives of Atlanta news, Kenya Moore is back, which is not anything that we haven't heard about since the beginning of summer, but they're finally ready to confirm it. So welcome back, Kenya. Bring the drama, and we cannot wait to see baby Brooklyn. We also only have 2 more episodes in Little Women Atlanta, so they better make these last 2 episodes count. After that, it'll be Little Women LA, and so I wanted to know, are we watching that? Also in reality TV news, Spinderella reveals that she is about to sue Salt and Pepper, citing that they owe her millions. Apparently, she's been recently ejected from the group. Don't these ladies do this all the time? Don't they make up to break up? And millions, Spinderella? And that wraps it up for our social media portion. So let's go ahead and hop into the reality TV. This week, we're going to open up with Real Housewives of Potomac because they have been so juicy for these past 2 episodes. Bravo does a really good job of making sure that they leave no stone unturned. It's almost as if there was little to no editing done at this dinner, but it also just shows that it was a nightmare. Chris has overcooked his food. I think the risotto is overcooked. The scallops might be a tinge burned. It's just, things have gone awry. What was supposed to be a wonderful tasting of Chris's cookbook has now just become a drama-filled Amistad dick-sucking event. So Bravo opens right where we left off, and that is with Candiace and Ashley arguing. We already know that for Candiace, talking about her mother and this being her mother's home is a sore spot for her. So I will say that Ashley went below the belt. And the only reason that Ashley did that is because they're talking about her husband Michael and his comments about wanting to suck someone's dick. Now, the allegations, or allegedly what I'm hearing, is that the person that he was talking about was Juan, Robin's husband. So that would also explain why Robin is not willing to spill the beans. Another really small tidbit that's shared is that Ashley was right there when Michael said it. She keeps saying that he didn't say it, but at this point we have 3 people saying that he said it. Okay, Chris is in there preparing the meal and he goes, I don't usually get into women's business, this whole catty talk. I don't do that. But I was there when Michael said it, and he definitely said it. Even with all of these people in agreement upon what was said and when it was said and where Ashley was at the time that it was said, she holds to her guns. She sticks to her story that Michael did not say this. It's important to mention that Gizelle definitely stirred the pot on this entire thing, and especially in this episode. She's the one that brings up the conversation, that shares about the dick sucking, that even just gets this whole thing going, okay? The voice of reasons during these entire interactions are Karen and Chris. And we really get to see Chris take action and step up and tell his wife, girl, you need to calm down. Don't let anyone bring you out of your character. You are so much better than this. You have so much more to lose. And it kind of shows that, you know, maybe Chris really does know what he's gotten into with Candiace. And maybe he really does know his woman. And it's a good time to see Chris as a more dynamic human being. We usually see him in the background, not really saying much, allowing Candiace to take the lead. But it shows that he knows when to step in. One thing that I want to point out that I do find to be odd is that it's almost as if Ashley refuses to leave. So after things escalate and Ashley says that she's leaving, Gizelle and Katie, because that also comes up during this episode. Gizelle and Katie go outside to talk to Ashley, and Gizelle stirs the pot and goes, well, she said that you can come back in. She actually doesn't want you to leave, which is not what Candiace has said at all. And even when Candiace is trying to be the lady of the house and let bygones be bygones and say, okay, well, things have calmed down, you can stay, Ashley still just has to take things a step further and things blow up again. I kid you not, Ashley exited Candiace's home 3 times and magically reappeared. It was like, where's Waldo? So after they talk about this whole situation with Michael and Ashley and the comment in question, the night kind of goes on. But Ashley, of course, wants to deflect, and that's where this Amistad conversation comes up. If we recall, Monique also met up with Candiace to ask her what was going on. Why did you feel the need to bring that up? Monique is just kind of like, you know what, Katie, you and I should just go talk. But things escalate. So Ashley is asked to leave. She finally leaves, and that's when Gizelle runs outside and stirs the pot even more. And Candiace doesn't really want you to leave. You can come back in. And for whatever reason, Ashley buys this and decides to come back in. Upon Ashley's return to the home, she's actually behaving as if she owns the place. You would think Ashley's paying the mortgage in this home with the rudeness that she's given off. And Karen checks it at the door. You're being very rude, and if you're going to be nasty, you should leave. Ashley says that she's going to leave, and so we think that she actually leaves. Monique and Katie go off to the side to have a conversation about the Amistad remark. And Katie goes, well, I do my own hair. Girl, my edges, honey, it's just, ooh, it gets puffy. I don't have any AC in my house. And at that point, that's probably the first time that Katie actually has a personality to me and is actually a little bit more relatable. On previous seasons, she was being very bougie and like trying to show that she was better than the other ladies. So it's nice to see Katie have a more down-to-earth approach. But I kid you not, the camera cuts away, it cuts back, and Ashley's right there. And Monique says, you won't leave. What are you doing here? This is between Katie and I. Ashley and Katie eventually leave. Now, the car ride is a very interesting situation. Katie and Ashley leave together, and Ashley's kind of going off about this whole comment about Michael. And Katie is so unbothered. Katie is in there with her compact mirror, reapplying her lip gloss, making sure that she's matte. And while Ashley's going off, she's like, well, is Michael gay? Okay, so he's not gay. Well, did he say it? No? Okay, well, do you guys have an open relationship? She's just reiterating the questions I think that everyone else wants finite answers to, because none of this is making sense. Puzzle pieces are missing, and Ashley's in complete denial about Michael and who he is. It's maybe a day or two after the event that happened at Chris and Candiace's home. Everybody's kind of trying to go on about their life. One thing that's common in each of these scenes is the ladies are filling in their spouses or whomever about what happened. So, for example, Chris and Monique go to a fitness class, and while they're waiting on the class to start, Monique fills Chris in on what happened. Another storyline in this episode is where Candiace calls her mom and she goes, well, hey, I set up an appointment with a therapist for us. I set it up for me, but I would love it if we could go together, which her mom reluctantly agrees. As we know, her mom is a self-proclaimed therapist. And as Candiace has said, sometimes you need therapy from another therapist for being raised by a therapist. So it's maybe the next day. Like I said, we really get no true timeline. But Gizelle happens to be in Ashley's area, and she calls Ashley to discuss what's going on. So Ashley says, well, I'll meet you wherever you are. And they meet up and they kind of walk down the street. Clearly staged, clearly just for camera time. And that's fine. Gizelle has to do her job and be the bone carrier this season. She's definitely the Sheree of the Real Housewives of Potomac. So she's talking with Ashley and she asks, well, how did Michael take it? And of course she goes, Michael was livid. What he wants to understand is, why is everybody coming for him? Why is everyone attacking us? And he actually doesn't want me hanging out with you ladies anymore, which I find to be a little funny because really Ashley has been in everyone's business up until this current season. And so it really just feels like it's karma. You can't really be upset with that, girl. One thing that is made painfully clear in this scene is that Gizelle is no one's friend. So as we know, Karen and Ashley had this heart-to-heart moment in the sea salt or the salt cave. Gizelle can't wait to share what Karen had said to her once Ashley departed. And I do agree with Karen that Ashley's embarrassed and she's going through a lot, which is why she's defensive and lashing out, and possibly why she was in everyone's business prior to, as an attempt to deflect from what's going on in her own home. One thing that's easy to forget is that Ashley is actually the one that introduced Candiace to us. You never think that those ladies were actually friends based off of the behavior that we've seen this season. Candiace and Dorothy go to counseling, where Dr. Ken kind of lays down the law. You may be a therapist beyond those doors, but in here, I'm the therapist, and these are my rules. You will not talk over one another. We will not demean one another. And the rules are very simple, but it's clear to see that they are rules that Dorothy just struggles with. Every time Candiace is talking, she wants to talk over her. She wants to diminish Candiace's experience of her, which is kind of validating Candiace. And Dr. Ken is being very clear about, I don't know why you're struggling with this, but I'm not going to allow you to talk over her. She has the floor. Are you actually hearing your daughter? Are you listening to your daughter? And Dorothy's behavior is very stiff, so it comes off as very defensive. And a lot of parents are defensive, especially when you talk about the impacts of something that they've done and the impact that it's had to you. A lot of them feel as though you're attacking their parenting, and that's not what you're doing. What you're saying is, this thing in particular that you do hurts me. And that's all Candiace wants. She just wants this understanding. Candiace does cry during this session, and it's an ugly cry. From what I've read, it's more of like that pageant cry that I'm not sure, but it comes off as a little disingenuous. And as I've said before in other shows where people have gone to counseling, like when Reginae and Toya went to counseling, is that maybe, although I know that it's edited so we don't get to see the entire session, but maybe some things should be left in private. I think that it doesn't help to have something that's supposed to be healing and supposed to be a safe space broadcasted to the world. I think this is another example of that. The show closes with Ashley performing at DC Gay Pride. Her outfit is a little cute. She has like a little rainbow pasty here because the shirt is sheer. Let's just say that Gizelle's confessional shade is untouched, okay? The girl is shady, 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 shady. Gizelle and Robin both show up to show support for Ashley. Ashley is unenthused about Robin's appearance. However, nothing is resolved after the performance. Ashley can't sing. She did no dancing. There was no twerking. She kept talking about this drag queen makeup that she was doing. Blue eyeshadow does not substitute drag queen. Just overall a terrible performance, a spot filler. She was actually probably the first performer of the day, and I see why. Ashley and Robin get into a small spat, which results in Ashley walking off and actually leaving the Gay Pride festivities. Now let's move on and let's talk Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The show opens at Frost Bistro, and what VH1 is doing is kind of setting the scene to hear a his and her side of the story. You know, the he said, she said. So at this point, Imani's birthday event has happened, and I guess Erica and Scrappy agreed that that did not need to be filmed. So the guys meet up at Frost Bistro, the guys being Jock, Kirk Frost, and Lil Scrappy. Frost Bistro is actually down on Peter Street, which is a very popular area in Atlanta, so I am sure that Kirk and Rashida are racking up the coins. On the flip side, Carly, Erica, and Rashida meet up for drinks. Rashida is talking about this mother-daughter event, kind of solidifying the details, letting the ladies know that it is in fact happening and she can't wait to see them there. Also kind of confirming that Pooh will be there because that is a concern for Carly. Scrappy is telling his version of events of what happened at Imani's party, and Erica's telling her version of events. I will say that for the most part, the events align. It's just the point of views on what course of action should have been taken differ. Scrappy feels as though Erica should have never approached Bambi's mom for her disrespect because that's his family now. Erica feels as though, you know, your wife's mom want to run up. She can get done up. Like, what's up? What's the problem? I understand. And really the only person here that's really impacted is Imani. She runs off to the bathroom crying, and her birthday was actually kind of ruined. During this bro chat, Jock reveals that Kendra has actually moved out of the home as a result of all of the drama with Cena, Alex, Shekinah, and Carly. He's missing her. He is a changed man, and she is the only one that he wants. He's hurting. Erica also reveals that she will not be able to attend the mommy-daughter event because she's actually giving labor on that day or around that day. I mean, she has more important things to do, girl. Bringing life into the world. Jock calls a meeting over at Salon Echelon because he wants his woman back. He needs to get to the middle of this drama. Where did this come from? So the meeting involves Jock, Carly, Cena, Alex, Sharonda, and Shekinah. Nobody's really willing to fess up immediately to where things came from. And Carly's, immediately ready to exit stage left. She has better things to do. She does not care about Jock. However, you are a part of this mess, girl. You do care. So you really do need to go ahead and have a seat. So the weird thing here is that Sharonda's actually crying. They actually have to put subtitles so that you can hear what she's saying because she's inaudible. But in short, she's saying that Jock betrayed her. He treats her so poorly. And it really does sound like a lover's quarrel. Maybe he did sleep with her at one point. It's just not adding up. And Jock, when I say he loses it, security gets involved. Shekinah ends up on the floor. He has to apologize to her. He has to apologize for his behavior. But those are the things that a man does when he's in love. When he has messed up and things are falling out of his grasp, he is no longer in control. It is a fight to the death. And he is ready to fight for the woman that he loves. And unfortunately, it's not Sharonda. It's not Alex. It's not Cena. It's not Carly. It's Kendra. We cut over to Tokyo's, who we've only seen a little bit this season. Her mama's in town to accompany her to Rashida's mother-daughter event, and here they really get to have a heart-to-heart. Tokyo has recently lost her grandmother, and she's just grieving really, really hard. Tokyo confesses, as much as I want to lay my burdens on you, as much as I want to have these conversations with you about how much I miss her, you've also lost your mother. You're grieving, and so how selfish of me to put that on you. It's a really touching moment, and it really just shows this beyond mother-daughter, but more of this sisterhood, this friendship that she and her mother have been able to develop. And I really do want to see Tokyo's mom a little bit more. Maybe they'll get their own show. I think that they would be great for a spinoff. I would also suggest that Tokyo go to counseling. I think that she could really benefit from that. Over at Mama D's, Scrappy drops in so that he can discuss what actually happened at Imani's event. Scrappy is still holding his position about Bambi's mom being his family. So Erica and Mama D were out of line, although they were the parties that were offended. Scrappy even goes further to say that no one cares about him, that he's gotten in this car accident where he almost lost his life. And in the moment, people were concerned because, of course, the initial shock. But once everyone knew that he was okay, they just stopped caring about him. Maybe some of this anger that we're seeing from him in this episode in particular is him lashing out because he's feeling uncared for and just not feeling considered. Smaller scenes in this episode include Erica getting ready for delivery. She does a really good job of making sure that Imani knows that nothing's going to change with the arrival of these twins. You are still my baby girl. You're still my oldest. You're still the apple of my eye. And I still don't know what I would do without you. So Erica goes into labor and gives birth, but unfortunately the twins are too small to come home. So they're still in the NICU, and we get to see Erica come home and her mother and her daughter care for her. It's a really beautiful scene. Carly's daughter Jasmine comes home from school to visit because, of course, everyone's going to Rashida's mother-daughter event. And she divulges that she actually took a break from school, or dropped out, as Carly wants to say, because of the shitty booty rumors that were being said or spread by Pooh. I would hope that her daughter has thicker skin, but this is also what you sign up for when you sign up for reality TV. Carly's definitely done worse than this on TV. So if her daughter didn't drop out then, girl, don't drop out now. Carly wants to protect her daughter. And I understand it completely. It makes sense. So she has to set things right. She tells her daughter, I'm going to show him. I took a lie detector test, which I don't think the mother-daughter event is the time or the place for that. It's completely inappropriate. Pooh is spending time with her daughter at the pool, and they're also talking about this whole Carly and this whole shitty sheets situation. It really seems like Pooh and her daughter are less like mother-daughter and more like friends. Pooh brags on her daughter. Her daughter's 25. I believe she's about to pursue her master's. She's a homeowner. She owns a salon. She's successful. And a lot of times a parent's success can be defined by their child's success. Somebody's definitely not eating any humble pie. Okay? Pooh talks about how she had to work multiple jobs and strip to provide for her daughters to make sure that they had the very best. She talks about meeting Hiram and how he helped her to take care of her daughters and just how blessed they are overall. But how she wants to go to this mother-daughter event and flex. She wants to show them what a good mom looks like because Carly isn't one. Jock pops up at Kendra's work because he is really ready to fight for his woman. I will say that this scene seems a little staged because instead of him walking into an office where there's a receptionist and a front desk, he's able to walk straight into the conference room from the outside. And while I understand that a lot of conference rooms have doors if they are like storefront establishments, Why isn't that door locked? Clearly for filming. He interrupts her in the middle of what appears to be an important meeting to say, just give me one more chance. Let me explain things. I love you. And Kendra goes, please do not come up to my place of employment anymore. Jacil, we'll talk about this later. I love it when she calls him Jacil. It's so stern and it creates this definition. The public and other people may call you Jock. You're Jacil and I'm going to call you on your shit. The episode closes at Rashida's mother-daughter event and it is beautiful and it is also very empty. Now Rashida's outfit looks like she's ready to be a matador, ready to flag down some bulls. Shekinah's hosting and things seem to be going relatively well. Pooh and her daughter give their rehearsed speech about all of her daughter's accomplishments, and without her mother, she would not have been able to do it. But then when it gets around to Jasmine and Carly takes the mic and goes, I have a lie detector test results, which, girl, anybody could have printed those up. We don't trust you. But I have the lie detector test results, and it's determined that everything that you said was a lie. And so Pooh stands up and she's like, a lie about what? A lie about what? And things go left. Jasmine is ready to fight for her mom's honor, which is completely out of line. You leave that between these two elderly women. Like I said, things escalate and Pooh and her daughter are escorted out, and security, Carly and her daughter Jasmine are in the corner crying. Carly's holding Jasmine. Let it go. It's okay. It's not that serious. But Jasmine is ready to fight. Okay. She want to throw them bows. And in short, with that description, I'm sure that you could surmise that the mother-daughter event that Rashida took her time and carefully planned is ruined. And last but not least, let's talk Basketball Wives LA. What I've been reading in the blogs is that people are saying that OG was Cece's puppet because Cece just went ahead and shared that tidbit of information, the family secret, and then waited for OG to just explode. I don't think that Cece's that bright. I'll just be honest. I think that Cece felt like she had a real friend in OG, and when she and Kristen were on the outs prior to trying to make amends, she felt like she had someone that she could confide in. I don't think that Cece knew that OG was just this ticking time bomb. I also don't think that Cece thought that OG's issues with Kristen were that deep-rooted that they could not be resolved, that OG was just gonna lose it like that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about on the last episode where they are at Evelyn's skincare event and OG drops a bomb, the family bomb that I guess no one was supposed to know. Although Cece and Byron seem to think that it's really not that big of a deal. The bomb is that Thomas isn't even Byron's biological son, kind of implying that anything that Byron does for Thomas and Kristen is out of the goodness of his heart, that he's not obligated to do anything. What we find out later on in the episode is that Byron raised Thomas and he considers Thomas to be his son, and Thomas has never been treated any differently. Byron also divulges that he raised Thomas since he was about 1.5 years old. During the last episode, we see Kristen fly off the handle. She's in the hallway screaming bloody murder. And VH1 picks right back up right there for this episode that we're about to discuss. The camera cuts to all parties, everyone involved, and everybody's kind of in these different locations. The majority of the people are outside in the hallway trying to support Kristen. Cece is so calm. She's so unaffected. She's just swinging her hair, looking around, being cute, and she says, well, I don't really think that was that big of a deal. It's not really like it's a secret. And Malaysia is pissed. Kristen is pissed. And even Shawnee is pissed. Shawnee says that OG crossed the line, that she should have just stayed out of family business, point blank, period. This episode, Shawnee also talks about some of the security issues that she's faced in her household. Someone has tried to jump her fence, which Sharif says, that's not even tall. I could jump that with ease. So that doesn't ease her worries about the safety of herself and her younger children. Keep in mind that Sharif and her other son have moved out and they have an apartment across town. So now it's just her and the babies. So she has to make sure that everyone's safe. There have been break-ins in the neighborhood and I think 2 attempted break-ins into her home. So she's ready to move to a place that's safer. Over at Byron and Cece's, she's filling him in on the events that happened at Evelyn's CBD skincare line event. July 12th, 2020 is the big day for them, and hopefully the entire family will be able to come together by then. Today makes that exactly a year from now. They've got plenty of time to get it together. Cece is telling Byron OG shared the secret, and no, OG shouldn't have shared it the way that she did, but it's not a secret. Kristen overreacted. It shouldn't have cut her the way that it did. Byron even says, I was here when we had this discussion in front of OG. This is nothing, kind of implying that he wouldn't have shared anything with OG or said anything with Cece in front of OG that he wasn't comfortable with the world knowing. What I want Malaysia and everyone else to stop doing is blaming Cece, because scenes like this in particular kind of show that they're the only ones that are making a big deal out of these things. Byron said what he said. Kristen threw the first dart with this whole he doesn't even come see his grandchild foolishness last season. Kristen's done a lot of underhanded things and said a lot of hurtful things, but now she wants to play the victim. And I think that Byron is just tired of her antics. Byron says that he views Thomas as his son, and that's all that matters. One thing that's funny during this episode is that Tami is actually being the peacemaker. She heard that they were ganging up on her girl OG, and while she acknowledges that OG is a little rough around the edges, can even be a lot to digest, she did not deserve to be ganged up on. Tami calls a meeting with herself, OG, and Jackie, where she gets this version of events. And that's where she and Jackie kind of have this initial conversation about Jackie being a traitor. Tami straight up says that Jackie is not a true friend, that she doesn't back OG up. She doesn't know when to back people up. Jackie says, well, I'm woke now because I didn't think I was a traitor. I thought I was a friend, and Tami's just out of line. Jackie Christie is offended, but they all handle it very amicably. But Tami later on in the episode kind of has to eat those words and apologize because she took OG's word at face value. And I would say that OG was in her emotions and she was trying to defend herself. So it's easy to say I was attacked to kind of take the heat off of you. Tami gets this great idea to call a meeting of the minds between herself, OG, Shawnee, and Jackie Christie. During this meeting, Tami kind of gets to hear both sides of the story because OG has given her this whole version of events where everyone was attacking her, and Shawnee and Jackie clearly say, no one was attacking you, but it doesn't change what you did. What you did was still wrong. Shawnee says that the person that everybody should have been upset with wasn't OG, but Cece, that everyone's anger is misdirected, and I could not agree more. Finally, someone is holding Cece accountable. Tami does apologize, citing that she may have jumped the gun by only taking OG's version of events, and all is well. To kind of play devil's advocate, VH1 shows Kristen, Malaysia, and Byron's daughter going shoe shopping. And they're kind of going over the course of events that happened at Evelyn's event. They're talking about OG, Cece, and the role that all parties involved played. Now, Kristen will not take accountability. She keeps saying that she doesn't even have an issue with OG, but she really did kind of start it. That doesn't validate any of what OG did, but they keep saying that OG is Cece's puppet, which I'm not getting those types of vibes at all. I'll say it again, Cece's not that smart. Tami also mentions that she wants to have a brunch that involved Kristen, OG, Cece, everybody, to just try to get this resolved. Tami has turned a new leaf. She's not here for the drama. She doesn't have time for it, but baby girl also needs that camera time because we're going to get that check. I don't even think I have to mention this part, but clearly the brunch involves everyone except for Evelyn. Shawnee, Evelyn, and Phoebe meet up to see Phoebe rap in the studio. That's the career that she's pursuing. So that's what brings her to Basketball Wives this season. They talk about life experiences, having children, or being married to people in the industry, specifically athletes, and the struggles that come with that. Phoebe reminds Evelyn and Shawnee of a younger version of them. And so what I see is kind of this mentorship type situation developing. Phoebe cites that she and OG kind of got into a quarrel the last time that they saw each other because OG asked her, did she have a gag order? Basically saying that she could not say the father of her children's name on the show, almost implying like she trapped him, which I don't think that's what OG meant, but it gives me like Royce Reed vibes because that's kind of what Royce went through a few seasons ago when she was on Basketball Wives. Phoebe is immediately offended and it kind of rubs her the wrong way. It was just kind of not a good way for she and OG to start. And what we've heard is that behind the scenes, they actually kind of got into a real argument, almost a physical altercation. And so that would explain some of Phoebe's hostility towards OG. Shawnee does invite Phoebe to Tami's brunch right in front of Evelyn, which I mean, to me shows how clear these ladies are on boundaries. All the ladies show up and Tami wastes no time. There's no time to have small talk. Let's just cut right to the chase. I want you ladies to get over this. Let's hash it out right here and right now. OG and Kristen quickly apologize for crossing boundaries with one another, which is great because that means that not only do they acknowledge they're wrong in it, but they acknowledge who should be in the hot seat. Next up is Cece. Tami does have to gain control of the table because things get a little out of hand, but Cece is sticking to her guns and insisting that this is not a secret, that this is being blown out of proportion, that Byron doesn't care who knows, and that Kristen should not be so hurt or so offended. Cece goes, well, I don't care if his children are mad at him, if they don't like him, if they don't like me, which signals to me that Cece is just at her wit's end. She is tired of being the scapegoat. And maybe she's been to blame for things that we are not even privy to. What I get is just a woman that is fed up and just wants to love on her man. Kristen departs early, citing that she just can't deal with this, and says that she's also just done with Cece. Even if her mother wasn't having this breast cancer event on the night of their engagement party, she wouldn't be in attendance either way. Malaysia says that she's just going to get to the bottom of this. She's going to contact Byron directly. Why hadn't y'all done this ages ago? Not even Malaysia contacting Byron, but Kristen and Thomas. Because Cece just keeps saying, well, Byron doesn't care. Byron this, Byron that. So why didn't you contact the source to begin with? Everyone seems to think that Cece is throwing Byron under the bus, which we quickly find out is not the case. When Malaysia meets up with Byron in the closing scene, we see that Byron corroborates everything that Cece has been saying. This isn't a big deal. I raised Thomas. I really don't care. No, OG shouldn't have said it. And while she used it as ammunition, which was not how it was given to her, this really is just not a big deal. Byron is so unfazed. I aspire to reach that level of unbotheredness. What'll be interesting is to see what Malaysia does with it from here on out, because now your whole issue has lost its momentum. There's no longer any steam behind it. So build a bridge and get over it. And that wraps it up for this week's episode of Reality Check, This Week in Rewind. If you like this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel. And while you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter so that you're always a part of the conversation. And I can't wait to chat with you next week. Bye-bye. This video has been Queenie B approved. Thanks for watching. But don't stop there. Let's head on over to Instagram and Twitter and keep the conversation going. I'll meet you there. Bye-bye.